Brilliant. Well, thank you. Thanks for coming along. It's always that nervous moment of thinking, am I going to be talking to a room of nobody? So thanks for turning up. My name's Kate. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Chief Exec of an organisation called Cosmic. I share that role with my colleague Julie, and we're all about digital skills and transformation. So I spend most of my time working with organisations like these, plus lots of others in the area, helping them to understand what this new digital world looks like. Not just the digital marketing side, that whole bigger picture as well. So if you've got any questions about that sort of stuff, ask me afterwards. I've worked in the world of digital marketing now for 22 years. So, this is a real passion of mine. And I just want to share with you today what's going to happen this year. And for those of you who know me, you know I can't resist to go further than this year. So hopefully you'll get some thoughts and ideas out of the session today. So has anyone seen this new report? This one? It's called Brave New Worlds. This is one of my favorite reports to come out every year. So it's one of those that's really worth looking up. I've put the QR code there, so if you want to scan that, you can pick it up and have a look. It's a great one. It comes out of the organisation We Are Social. And this year, I got really, really excited about it. I'm going to talk about 1, 2, and 5. So I'm not going to pick those up first. But just to give you a brief idea of the other two. Number 3, primetime platforms. We're talking about social now being that true second screen. We're talking about more people, and I'm sure you've experienced this, choosing to watch videos, TikTok, YouTube, anything than actually turning on primetime TV. We're also seeing less and less people using 1, 2, 3, 4 buttons on their remote controls as well. So that's the sort of experiences we're seeing is that true turning point to social media being a media that we're using and consuming at the same time. But that comes along with this, which I think is fascinating. Social cynicism. Really seeing a change in how people are using social. The days of this stuff is gone. And actually people are taking the mick out of that stuff more than they are actually doing it for real. So we're seeing a real change of pace in what's happening in the world of social. As I say, the ones I'm going to talk about, I'm going to talk about number 1 first, because I think this is really interesting. I'm just going to click. There we go. Ooh, no, it jumped forward. Here we go. The big thing here is we're using social to learn. So my first question to you is, what output are you putting in your social that enables people to learn? We're talking about in-field syllabuses. We're talking about this idea, particularly life skills, particularly things that you do that people can learn quite quickly is really valuable. Cultural, political learning, really big thing. Most young people's feeds now, particularly on Instagram, stories are full of cultural and political opinions. Are we supporting those? Are we developing their learning? So I think it's a really interesting area. And alongside that, this notion of long-form content. We're not just consuming snippets of this stuff, it's big stuff. People are taking up long courses, they're actually committing themselves, watching 3, 4, 5 YouTube videos, reading long-form LinkedIn articles, and using that as learning. So I think this is a real opportunity for all of us in marketing to think, how can we contribute to that piece? Still not going to work. Going to have to dance around, I think. There. The other one is this notion of learning for leisure. Hands up who's got like their favorite Instagrammer who they go and learn a little bit of something about. Yeah? Yeah, this is one of my favorites here, Living London History. And he goes around London, tells you why the street names are called so-and-so or whatever. It's fascinating. And we've all got those kind of favorite people. So again, is there an opportunity for you to think about, is there some fun, some learning stuff that you can share that's a bit more fun? Doesn't have to be political or cultural, could just be a bit of fun. But that piece about learning. The other one I wanted to talk about is this notion of the vibe. Now, I feel a bit too old to use that word, but this notion that social's gone from look at me to feeling. How it feels to use your services, how it feels to use your products, how it feels to be in that environment. That's the change. It's very subtle, but that's the change. So the challenge for us I don't know where this connector is. There we go. No, I'm going to have to just press buttons. The challenge for us is how do we emulate this stuff? How do we emulate the guys that have really hit the millions in this? Why we all love Fleetwood Mac suddenly again. Why we're all in that zone. Friday feels, those sorts of things have become really powerful. So the days have gone out of today is Goth Day, International Goth Day. We're moving away from that. We're moving to vibes and feels, Friday feels, those sorts of things. So I think it's a really interesting one for us to think about. Pick your favorite tune and challenge yourself to create some content. The third area I want to talk about, and as I say, you can read more about this in the report itself, is the notion of digital content itself having value. Now, if I say the word NFT to you, you'll probably run out of the room, won't you? I'm not going to talk about NFT too much, but what I want to do is help you to understand that tokenizing products you sell in the digital world now is really valuable. Really valuable. The quotes in here is really interesting. 33% of Gen Zers will purchase digital art. We're talking here about the notion people are spending more on a digital product than the value of the product in real life. Gucci handbag costs more in the digital world than it does in the real world. I know this sounds crazy. We all said social media was crazy 10 years ago, didn't we? But this is the world that we're now living in. 8% of social media users have invested in NFTs, are buying digital art. If you've not seen this stuff, go onto some of the websites that sell it, just Google NFT art and have a look at it. When you buy the NFT art, you buy the piece of art, you buy the token for the art, it belongs to you. It's an asset that then grows. Hopefully, you hope. I heard you say that, Drew. Yeah. It's becoming a conscious consumption. Have you bought some clothes for your avatars? 33%, a third of Gen Zers have bought clothes for their avatars now, buying branded clothes. Or images. People buying tokens or NFTs of images that might be funny, that might be interesting, that might be different. This might not be this year, and I see you saying this isn't 22, Kate, this isn't 22, but it's a really interesting concept. The value of digital content is changing. DJ 3 Lau, if you buy an NFT, you get some royalties from him. So you're buying into the music industry as you do it. Nike have done a really interesting thing. They've just put in a patent for their trainers that at the same time, you get a token for your online version of those trainers. So you step out of your virtual world, walk into your real world with the same trainers on. How cool is that? Fascinating, isn't it? So this notion of digital having value is going to keep going. So those are the bits I just wanted to pick out from that report. And as I say, it's a really interesting one to come out every year. We are social. Reflect on it every year and think about how your content needs to change to reflect those things. The next thing I want to pick up is the metaverse. Hands up who's had a go in the metaverse. Oh, we need to bring a few headsets down next time maybe, but we'll have a look. So the metaverse basically is a phrase that we're using now that covers VR, it covers AR, so virtual reality headsets, augmented reality where we place images onto the real environment that we're in, and XR, so including kind of experience in that. All of that is what we're calling the metaverse. Weird? Yes. Not very far away. Not very far away at all. So since we've been in lockdown, we've all been wearing our headsets with our headphones on, haven't we, and our little mics. Flip down a screen, we're in the metaverse. That's what's being built at the moment. So Ericsson, Facebook, Amazon, all the big guys are building them, and Microsoft are building them at the moment. And so being accepted in the workplace is a really big deal. There's 4 kind of big use cases for the metaverse. Marketing being one of them. We'll talk a little bit more about that. Learning, just talked exactly about that issue. Digital twins and collaboration. So the workplace piece fits within the collaboration space. So whereas when we're on Teams at the moment and we're in our little square spaces, when we flip into the metaverse, we'll be in a room. Don't know what we think of that. What about digital twins? Anyone here who's in tourism marketing, destination marketing, those sorts of things? We're starting to see destination marketing developing digital twins of the destination. Sharing that with the metaverse, people can look to see whether that's somewhere they want to go, can experience things beforehand. Great for consumers, but also great for real-time triggers. So if you're into bird migration, the birds appear real-time trigger, we can look at it in the metaverse. If we're looking at the northern lights, and when the northern lights appear that night, we can see it in the metaverse. So this notion of it being related in a real time back to the metaverse environment is really powerful. If we're not in destination marketing, if we're in manufacturing, digital twins is massive. We're building digital twins of all the, like this is a turbine here that you can see, digital twins of turbines. We can run tests going forwards and backwards on these. We can run predictive analysis. We can do all of that sort of stuff on it. We're not here to talk about that today, but I just wanted to share that with you. But marketing and learning are the 2 that are really powerful. So I don't know if I can share this. I don't know if it will come up today. Will this work? Let me see. No, it's not going to work. But this is a Gucci environment of their metaverse that we can go into our metaverse, flip our head down, and we're in the Gucci shop. We can try on clothes, we can look at them, we can see what we like, we can change our avatar, we can see what we've purchased in the past, we can have recommendations, and that's where you can buy your Gucci bag for $4,000 if you want to spend that much on a Gucci bag. But that's where we can do it. But we can buy it, obviously, in the real world as well as in the virtual world. It's an incredible experience. If you've not experienced it, have a go. Try it. Because it's a fascinating, it's a truly immersive experience. What about in our Teams environments? This is coming out in the summer. This is Teams Mesh. So the idea that our avatars might be there instead of us on our screens. Microsoft have just patented technology for our body language when we're on a Teams call. So you know when we're sitting like that, that's what your avatar will look like. So that's the kind of environment that they're seeing. But the bit that they're just about to release is this notion with the palm of our hands being, so we go into the metaverse, the palm of our hand is Teams, we click on it, we enter our Teams call, we're in that space. But that space stays. So if we're working in a place where actually several people are coming in and out of this meeting over time, so let's say we're working with our clients, we meet there, on the walls in SharePoint Spaces. This is available now. We have the video call recording from the last meeting. We've got the Excel sheet we were working on. We've got our press pack, if you were here at the last session, on the wall here. And we can just carry on with our meeting next time we meet because it's all in there. So really interesting way to get immersed into conversations and be thinking about projects you're doing. Have a go with it. This is SharePoint Spaces, as I say, and the Teams Mesh is coming out in the summer. But in terms of marketing for this stuff, as I say, video, visitor attractions, big deal. Thinking about ways in which you can offer VR tours. Not complicated to do now. All we need to do is buy a VR camera or a 360-degree camera. They're not expensive anymore. We can do that stuff. Meet the team. If you work in professional services, meet the team. If you're particularly looking to recruit younger people, Metaverse experiences. If you work with clients that may also have learning differences, may have autism or Asperger's, creating these experiences can be a huge difference to them turning up on the day and feeling comfortable and successful, and actually not turning up. It's a really fascinating kind of area. And then for you, if you run a client-facing organization, think about using these as your immersive spaces for them. I can't wait for the day that you say to someone, should we meet on Teams or should we go into the mesh? And see what that feels like. So how do we do this stuff? Well, Google have created a new website called VR and AR, or AR and VR from Google. All their tools are there for free. We can use building blocks, free product. We can do Google Maps overlays for free. And then there's a fantastic area there to help you to build VRs quite quickly and easily as well, just with reasonably cheap technology that we can use. Some of the GoPros now have some of this stuff built in as well. So again, a great opportunity for you to give it a go and fail it before you spend hundreds of thousands on these sorts of things. If you want to meet me in the VR space, if you want to meet me in the Metaverse, we've got Microsoft's AltSpace VR, which again is built into our Microsoft 365 platform. We've got Horizon Worlds, which is Facebook's version, and we've got the Mozilla Hubs there, which is available for anyone to use. So if you want to have a play with this outside of your domain, then Mozilla Hubs is one of the great places to have a play with that. So have a go, see what you think about it. What's next? Voice. We'll talk a little bit about voice marketing. What do I mean by this? I mean Alexa, really. Some people, who's got an Alexa? Who's got Alexa? Yeah, most of us have got Alexas. Who's got a Google Home? A few. Apple Home? Not so many. No. So mostly in the Alexa world. And the thing about this is we've had them for a while. And most people just say, Alexa, put on Radio 6. And that's all we do. But actually, what we're starting to see is so much more than that. If you listen to a young person talk to Alexa, it's completely different. Speaking to someone the other day, and their son is learning the drums via an Alexa tutorial. So you play Alexa pause, Alexa start again, Alexa pause, carry on, doing all of that stuff through Alexa. If you think this is just a young person's game, most older people have an Alexa. And we bought them for them, didn't we? We bought them as a Christmas present. Here you go, Mum, have an Alexa. I'll teach you how to use it. The Amazon list's on there. You can buy your shopping. So how are we using this? How are we incorporating this into our marketing strategy? You're still thinking, don't get it. So at the moment, we can order pizzas, we can order an Uber, we can apply to Leeds Beckett University, we can find out the train times, we can get an alert for if there's traffic on the road, we can do all of those sorts of things. Can I book a meeting with you? Can I ask what the best place for, I'm looking at Katie here, what the best place to study teaching is in the area? What the best place for so-and-so is? That's the stuff we're asking all the time. We don't need to build these big fancy skills to do it. Because the first thing we've got to do is say, how does our website work for this? And the answer is, it's not fancy pants. It is just, actually, how does your website read in a natural language world? We've been so busy typing everything, the way we speak is different to how we type. So actually, we need to build some pages on our websites that have some natural language FAQs, or that have some different types of questions, some questions that might be earlier in the consumer journey than we've thought about before. Because there's nothing more exciting than to say to Alexa, Alexa, tell me what the best lathe is. I was working with a client the other day. Tell me what the best lathe is. And it comes out saying, the best lathe is Axminster Tools. It's priced at £489. Would you like me to send that to your phone? Ah, how exciting. So that's the connection with your website. So what I want you to think about is how we can do that. Think about snippets. Are we using snippets on our website? Are we using schema well enough in our website? A lot of spam's been going on around schema recently, but actually, are we using that well enough? And if we want to do a skill, we can do one for free. Blueprints, Alexa blueprints. We can have a go at building our own blueprint. We can publish it live on skills on an Alexa, or we could just publish it to a few people. So if we work in destination marketing, we could build house guests. We can do those things. For staff, we could build a Q&A. We could turn our HR handbooks into Q&As. We can do those sorts of things. So they don't have to be public skills. They can be ones that you do in a smaller environment too. Just been given my 5-minute warning, so I'm just going to skip ahead. I think there's just one more I want to speak about. TikTok. You knew this was going to come up, didn't you? We know it's TikTok time. We know this is the stuff that we've been seeing and hearing. How many of us are using this as a media channel at the moment? A few. It's time for us to think about how we're going to use it. The fun stuff was there, but if we think back to that report, and if we put those two things together, TikTok is the perfect place for learning. So think about, is this the opportunity to create some learning opportunities? I've put them in here, some destination stuff as examples. But interestingly, the top 10 destinations in the world on TikTok, Scotland is in there. Scotland has done incredibly well on TikTok. Have a look at it, see what they've done, it's amazing. But there's some really interesting stuff. This is more professional services stuff. Lawyers giving thoughts and ideas. You know, this was particularly about no-fault divorce that came out 6 months ago now, I think it is. But those sorts of things. Think about how you could use TikTok to talk to an adult audience. It's not just kids that's on TikTok. Very, very powerful. I won't talk about Instagram Reels because I'm sure you're using those. But the thing I did want to talk about, and the thing that I'll end on, is guides. Has anyone started playing with Instagram guides? Really powerful. So it sits in our profile next to videos, reels, guides. They're permanent, they stay. Great opportunity to create catalogs, lists, to create content, to create learning, all of those things within guides. I haven't got time to share with you, but my last point was going to be about for me, the big trend I'm seeing in social at the moment is around EDI, equality, diversity. It's a really, really big deal. And that would be my last point to share with you, is to say, if you're using channels to recruit, it's a real opportunity to share what your business is doing around EDI. And that bigger piece around decarbonisation, around the environment, all of that stuff. How can we bring that into our conversation? Because it's all of our conversations, isn't it? So if we're scratching our heads to say, what content do we need to build today? What we've run dry on content? Equality, diversity, inclusion, environment. Two really big things. I hope that's been helpful. I hope that's given you some food for thought. We've done a whistle-stop tour through Metaverse, through voice, and then more quickly through TikTok, thinking at the end around this notion of EDI and environment. Has anyone got any questions?
You could just go for it, microphone. Okay.
These trends are brilliant, but I'm just curious, the majority of these trends I'm seeing of the age of like 18 to like 30. What do you think the trends are for like over 55?
It's really interesting because we're seeing Instagram being an aging audience now, and we're seeing TikTok becoming an aging audience. So I wouldn't say they do stop at 30. Alexa certainly is an older audience too. But if we're wanting to target now, we're back on Facebook. Back on rolling in the Facebook world that's still being used by the much older generation. The one thing I do want to say also, though, is WhatsApp. So WhatsApp for Business is coming out very soon. It's going to be an interface that we can all use. And the communication for WhatsApp is very, very powerful. So that was announced, I think, 2 days ago. So have a look out for that and see, because I think how we use WhatsApp in our communication strategy and our marketing plans, because we can target people who have spoken to us and we can label them. So existing customers, new customers, age, and then we can market back, straight back into that WhatsApp environment. So that would be my tip. Thanks. Any other questions? Any other comments? Any questions? Yeah.
I'm just curious, what kind of, what does Cosmic do? What kind of situation you have in these conversations with clients? Are they sort of asking you like, oh, we want to do more digital, tell us how, how does this all play out?
Yeah, great. So we work in the business world, we're a social enterprise, so we work across the board. We work with vulnerable adults, teaching them digital skills. But in our kind of commercial work, we work with small businesses and we work with large organizations. And what we do is we support them to build their strategies. So we help them to understand either digital marketing or digital in the larger sense, and then we support them to build those. We give them lots and lots of workshops. At the end of these slides that I'll share with you, there's a QR code for all of our workshops coming up. They're all free to attend. So you can have 6 hours of free training from some of our staff and one-to-ones as well. So thank you. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to have a pitch. Thank you. That's great, thanks. Anyone else? There was another hand over here somewhere.
There was a slide I was going to ask. There's a slide you skipped past that had QR codes written on it. Is that what you were just talking about? Or
Yeah, QR codes I think are massive this year. Okay. They've gone away from being untrendy and uncool. They're now very practical and very useful.
They've gone full circle.
They've completely gone full circle. Put QR codes on everything, because they're built into all of our phones now. And put them in digital presentations as well. They work really well in the digital piece, yeah.
Is there going to be somewhere that we can see your slides, please? Are you going to share them around?
I'm assuming they'll be shared, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so all the workshops that you haven't been to or you've missed will be available in about 2 weeks online. It'll be sent out to everybody. So don't worry about missing anything on the slides. But you have got time. You've got about 8 minutes if you want to talk about the QR or something else.
Well, just to say, as I say, just to say to use the QRs. For those of you who don't know, if you open Edge or Chrome, in the address bar on the top right-hand side, click on that and it will generate a unique QR for that page you're on. So it's so easy now. So you don't have to go to those weird kind of websites anymore. And then you've got a QR. But also, if you use Microsoft Forms, in the share button on Microsoft Forms, QR codes are generated there too. So it's really helpful. Great. Got time for one more question?
Yeah.
Is there a lady up there that was looking like she was pointing, but she might just have been pointing? Lady in front of you there. Oh, go on, make up a question. Any other questions? Yeah.
I was just curious, you talking about VR headsets and everything like that. Obviously, at the moment, they're more expensive, I would say. Is there, I don't know, a
Yeah. There's a massive production that's just about to happen around, particularly Facebook have just invested in that piece. And you saw the Microsoft headset that looks like a pair of sunglasses, really. They're much, you know, the old days of these big clunky ones have gone. They're much, much slimmer. So, and we suspect Apple are going to launch a pair of prescription glasses with just heads up stuff just coming out. Again, it might be summer, it might be next year, but who knows. But so that's the way that all of these are now moving, certainly. There's a lady at the back there.
Yeah, you talked about TikTok as a learning opportunity. Do you think audience would be so disappointed to then have a link to an event that linked to that learning, or did that work?
No, I think that's fantastic. I think it's fantastic. That's absolutely the opportunity to then experience something in real world as well. Yeah.
What you said about all of us buying Alexas for our parents' brand, very much true. And I suspect I'm not the only one who's brought it to say, if you have a fall, you can use Alexa to get in touch with us, because obviously there's no phone, there's no panic button, they're on the ground, they can't get up. And what are you finding, because you mentioned digital skills for older people, what are you finding that they do with Alexa?
It's really interesting. The question there is, what are we finding older people are doing with Alexa? Well, one of the great things is the morning routine. So setting up the morning routines where it speaks to them in the morning, it tells them what the day it is, tells them what the weather's like, tells them what's going on. All of those kinds of things are really powerful. It's amazing. Alexa is amazing for people with disabilities, amazing for people with dementia. Create some playlists for them, help them to use it as reminiscence therapy. All of those kinds of things can be used by Alexa. So it's an incredible tool that I think if you have bought one for your parents, just spend a few hours playing with it and get some stuff set up for them, because they are really powerful things. We are only just touching the edge of voice marketing at the moment. There's so much more to go.
Can you see that theory, like we're actually more independent and doing more with TV, the link between Alexa and television to Fire Sticks? What do you anticipate maybe a little bit further down the line?
Absolutely. I mean, all the Amazon Fire Sticks have Alexa built into them. So we're seeing more and more of that stuff. If you haven't seen the little Facebook portals, I don't know if you've seen those for older people. They're amazing. They're like a little tiny screen that they can just say, call Kate, and it'll call, and then you have a video call between older people. Again, no marketing takes place on those at the moment. So that kind of window of opportunity for older people is enormous.
Do you think that businesses that don't adopt this are going to all the time? Because I've got an agency and we've got quite a lot of partners who are just coming through SEO, so some of this is like way.
Yeah.
Like how are they going to organise it?
It's a really great question, because this is one of the issues, and this is what I spend a lot of my time doing, is people are going, well, I don't even know whether I need a Facebook page. I'm going, whoa, we're way beyond that. But sometimes helping clients to see the journey they need to be on and how far they need to go helps them to make decisions now. So a great exercise to think about is actually getting them to think about the future first and then coming back. But it is absolutely, there still are the essentials. Getting your website right, because that's going to be good for voice, it's going to be good for Metaverse, it's still going to be great for QR codes, all of those kinds of things. But then, in my mind now, social is about thinking about how you can add value to people. And that's the change, really. And I think that works better for businesses. It's always felt uncomfortable, hasn't it? This kind of, oh, look, we're social. You know, that's been very difficult for people. So, yeah, hope that helps. Any other questions? No?
I think we should give Kate a round of applause, please.
Thanks very much.